Those Louisville Cardinals are hoping to become the TCU of 2023. One loss and headed most likely to the ACC championship, but they still have work to do. They travel to Miami and are just a pick'em game against the Hurricanes. We get Steve Merrill on the line from Wager Talk. Wager Talk TV right here on YouTube. Also, wagertalk.com is the place to catch Steve's complete work, the NFL, NBA, and of course, all the college football games. Steve, we've got Miami and Louisville, and even though Louisville is playing for so much, they are a dead even heat. They started, 1.5 point was the opening line, but now down to a pick'em game at Miami.
Yeah, how dare you compare Louisville to TCU? Louisville, a much better defensive team than last year's TCU Horned Frogs. I wasn't a believer in TCU last year being in the playoffs. It's funny, though. I actually would have no problem with Louisville. I think they're a really good team. Under the radar selection, as your clients know and your subscribers know, a couple weeks ago we used them against Virginia Tech for that best bet, part of that 19-5 run the last couple seasons. They're laying 9.5 against Virginia Tech. Last week, I didn't play the game, but if I was going to play it, I would have laid it with Louisville in the 3 touchdowns. But Virginia does have a good passing attack, so they did keep that game close. Over 300 yards passing against Virginia. But once again, the Cavaliers are an underrated team, in my opinion. They obviously got North Carolina a few weeks back. But I do think this is a spot in which I like this Louisville team, but I am concerned about the spot this week. My database simulation actually favors Miami by 0.5 point. So the pick'em line, I think, is accurate. And this is a Miami team. I am concerned about the narrow miss against Florida State last week. That might have been their bowl game. That might have been their big game to finish the season. And the fact they came up short 27-20 is a concern. I'll give them a pass, by the way, for the North Carolina State loss the week before that, because they're coming off the back-to-back overtime games against Clemson and Virginia, narrow wins in both of those. So I expected that to be flat. I did like the fact they bounced back against Florida State with a good showing last week, and I think maybe that was the buy sign here. It's their final home game of the season. I'm not going to make a big deal about that because it's at Hard Rock Stadium. I checked a couple of days ago. Tickets were going, honestly, for as low as $7 a ticket for the Miami game. So I'm not going to say this is some huge last home game advantage. But it's tough to bring your A game every week. And Louisville did show, some chinks in the armor last Thursday or Thursday night rather, in that Louisville game against Virginia. But the other thing I want to point out is I know there's not a strong home field necessarily this week for Miami, but I do think it's a bad spot on the road for Louisville. This is Louisville's only road game. They've only played one road game since the end of September, and that just happened to be their only loss of the season back on October 14th, over a month ago at Pittsburgh, losing outright by 17 as a 7-point road favorite. Now, granted, that did come after the Notre Dame upset. I'm fully aware of that. I think that played a part in it, 3-0 turnover deficit. But their only other road game since early September was back on the 29th of September against NC State. They barely won that 13-10. So they're 0-2 ATS those last 2 road games going back to the beginning of the season, basically. So this is a step up in class and a difficult scheduling spot. I would not be surprised to see Miami maybe pull the upset here. And as you know, Mark, it often works itself out. I think once again, this will probably knock another team out of the national contention talk when Louisville picks up a second loss.
Win and Louisville goes to the ACC championship game, but they would still have on the national scene work to do, taking on Kentucky the final weekend of the season. Steve's under the radar selections are exclusive right here at the Voice of College Football. 19-5 against the spread. Where do you get it? Patreon.com/MarkRogersTV or as a YouTube member over on the main channel. Steve, thank you so much.